Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Hello, good morning. Good morning to all of us that aren't in the East Coast, right? Those of us in the East Coast, it's already afternoon, but here for me in Central, and for our guest, it is even earlier. He's in Pacific time. So that's why we decided to do this a little bit later today. So new time, I hope that still allows, for our typical and normal audience to join us today. I'm super excited about what we have happening. We have spiritual luminary Gil Alan here today. And it's such a cool title and mission that he has. And so I can't wait to share a little bit more about it. So please say hello as you come in. As you can see, I am by myself today, which is very unusual, but Sarah is actually on a flight back from Dell Tech ProjectCon. So she was unable to join us. So we ended up, planning to do this with just a one-woman show here in terms of hosting. But lucky enough for all of us, Gil and I can both talk quite a bit. So I think there will not be any silence whatsoever. We will for sure fill the space today. So the other thing I wanted to kind of remind everyone is that we've already met Gil. He wasn't there live, but we had a pre-recorded interview with Sarah and Gil that we showed a couple weeks back, maybe about a month or so. And what happened in that episode is that Gil kind of provided us with a ton of background as to how he became a spiritual luminary. You don't just maybe you wake up and you're just a spiritual luminary. We'll have to ask Gil. I have no fucking clue how it works. But he shared his journey, and it included the death of his mother, and it's a great story. So go back, look for it, search BOYBAS for Gil Alan, and watch that episode if you haven't seen it already. For those that you've seen it, you'll remember that he had no real desire to have any of these capabilities, and then his mother passed, and it happened. And since then, he has been called to continue this journey that he's on and his mission. So I'm going to just quickly introduce him. So Gil Alan empowers individuals through his international workshops and private sessions, teaching them to connect with their spirit guides. So his mission is to help others access the infinite love and wisdom that's available to everyone, guiding them towards self-empowerment and holistic healing. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited. So let me bring Gil to the stage, our spiritual luminary for today's journey. Hi, Gil. Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Thank you guys for having me here today.
Yes.
Good morning and good afternoon.
Yes. And you are not the first person that we've had that is not a morning person. We had a woman, a very cool woman named Weva Mora. She does quantum healing hypnosis, quantum hypnosis healing therapy. And man, she was like, this is still theta state for me. And you are lucky I am here. So
actually, it just made me think about some years ago, I did an interview at this radio station in Dubai. And I traveled to Dubai to do some workshops and other private sessions for people. And they had me come into the studio at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
That is way before my being conscious time. And
right.
A friend of mine actually drove me to the studio because I didn't know where anything was in Dubai.
Right.
And there were two female hosts on the radio show. And I remember sitting there and hearing them talk, and I didn't realize the show had actually started. I was so out of it, and I was just like, and then they were both looking at me, and I said, "Oh my God, did you ask me a question?" And they're like, "Yes." And then they repeated it, and I said, "I'm so sorry, but I am not a morning person, and for me, this is actually evening." And I said, "I will do my best to stay conscious. If I blank out, just throw something at me, and we'll go from there." So
Oh
this is
my
not
God.
as early as that.
Yeah, I was gonna say like 5:30 is crazy early, but then you add like jet lag onto that, like that, you must have just been really out of it.
Well, 5:30 is not that early for people that do like normal TV.
Right.
Good Morning America, all those shows, those people are probably in the studio at 4:30, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
for me, no.
Yeah. I am a morning person. So I love the mornings if I get decent sleep. I'm also an insomniac. But I am a good sleeper. So that's what I've been at least
Actually,
affirming.
I do like the morning. I love the morning energy. It's just that I'm also a night person. And so a lot
Right.
of my creative juices are going in the evening when it's quiet, no neighbors, phone calls, texts stop, all of that. And so I'm very creative in the evening, which usually causes me to stay up a little
Right.
bit longer than normal. But
Yeah.
if I get enough sleep, hell, I will get up at 5 in the morning and I'll be out with the dogs and
Yeah.
making breakfast and all of those things because morning is really, it's a beautiful energy.
It's a special time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 5 a.m. is my favorite time of the day. 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. If I had to pick an hour, I've got to be awake for it to happen. Right. But my wife is very much not a morning person either. So not at all. And speaking of my wife, she is very excited for today. So she said, "Good morning" to me. I'm her love, not you, Gil, just so you're aware. And she's looking forward to this and super excited. Thank you so much, honey. And then we have Chava Grant. I love your name and your picture. And she goes, yeah. I don't know if that was in response to the morning talk, Chava, but it is nice to see you and to have you here today. And then we have Kim Stamps, our lovely Kim. Thank you, Kim. It is not morning for her, but she's playing along. So appreciate it. Super excited for today. So why don't we dig in? And as more people come in, we might stop and say hello or, answer questions. So
Okay.
today, just to our audience, and Sarah and I tried to definitely incorporate this right into the description of the show. We want this to be as interactive as possible. So just to kind of give you a heads up, I'm going to ask some questions. I want to dig in a little bit and really understand. I'm kind of a newbie to the whole spirit guide world, which is, to those that know me and Jenna, that's funny because Jenna is not at all. Like, she talks to her spirit guides. She's all over this stuff. And she thinks I definitely, have those powers and am divine, but I don't have I just know things, so I don't know how I know them. And I'm super excited to go on this journey today. But so to kind of give you guys a heads up, we're going to talk about spirit guides. I'm going to dig in, try to understand a little bit more. And then Gil's actually going to take us on a journey so that we can meet our spirit guides or meet a spirit guide today. So we are going to do that live today. And if it's your first time like me, this could be really cool. This could be tricky. We have no idea, but we're going to do it. And, you can always do it after again. So this is not like a one-time thing by any means. So Gil's assured me, and he also has a journey out that he gives for, a link available that he gives for free to folks. So we're going to include that in the comments afterward. But today's going to be pretty special because of that. Do you want to give any other type of introduction before I dig in around what the journey is like? Or
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Gil?
No, we'll get to that right before the journey because I want to
Okay.
set it up. But you guys will get to meet at least. We can't go through all your guides, but you're one of your main primary guides, and you'll get a sense of what your guide's energy feels like. And we'll ask your guide some questions, and you will discover what the next essential step in your life is that you need to take.
So cool. I can't wait. I'm super psyched. I just want to quick say good morning to Bryce too. Good morning, Bryce. Thanks for joining. Bryce is also Pacific, so but I know he's been working because we work together. So all right, Gil. So all right, just I'm a newbie. How do you define a spirit guide? Like and what's their role?
Oh, I guess there's many ways to define them based on who's doing the defining. But I consider your spirit guides are really just messengers of the soul. They're the messengers from your soul. And even if you have no idea what they are or that they even exist, they're always working for you behind the scenes, sending you messages of wisdom and guidance. A lot of people may not know anything about spirit guides and just process things naturally, like intuitively, or where they say, I just got a gut feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, that is information being sent to you from your own inner guidance, which is your spirit guides. Now, you can talk to your inner guidance without using your spirit guides, but they're all the same. So they're always working for you, and your spirit guides are a part of your own inner guidance, sending you information through your intuitive channel. And they can stay silent behind the scenes, or you can choose to bring them forward into your life to help you pretty much transform any situation, and really enrich and empower your human experience.
Wow, there's so much there to unpack.
I know.
Yeah. You're
New
like,
show.
right. Yeah, I know. I do this for a living. It's crazy how deep this is. I love it. Okay, so one of my first questions is, you refer to it like as the soul. Is it the same as like your subconscious or like your higher conscious? Like, I like Jenny uses a lot of those terms sometimes, and I kind of I want to kind of try to understand the difference, or how you would define the soul.
Okay, so do you believe in God, or we could call it source?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
a main source of intelligence and creation?
Yeah.
Do you believe that you are that source, or can you believe that you are that source?
Yeah, I do. Like, I feel most comfortable believing that God is everywhere, right? And within us, and source, and I can call it whatever. Like,
okay. It literally is you.
Okay.
You're just separated from that in the form of you're separated from the being non-physical into the physical.
Yeah.
Your soul is non-physical, but it can create you, and it can create other forms of biological life, biological intelligence. Your soul can have you right now. Your soul can have created a dog or a cat that's coming from your soul energy. It can put its energy into a tree, into a blade of grass, into a gopher, into an alien, into cosmic dust that's traveling through space.
Right.
Your soul can place its energy into anything it chooses, and it will choose a lot of different things, because the main objective of the soul is to create and to gather experience, all different kinds of experiences. So Everything is a part of that main source intelligence. It's like, imagine that we have this gigantic chocolate chip cookie, okay?
Okay.
And I give a piece to you and to Bryce and to different people. So it's only a little piece of the cookie, but still within that one piece of the cookie are the same ingredients that baked the whole cookie.
Right. Okay.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
there are different aspects of consciousness. Like if she talks about your higher self, my guides like to call it your infinite self rather than connotating that there's lower and higher.
oh, okay.
Your infinite self. So when I say infinite self, it's what other people call your higher self.
Infinite, you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
infinite.
Okay.
So we have different, you could call them levels or different aspects of consciousness. Right now, you and I are like in the human aspect of consciousness. Communicating with our spirit guides takes us out and beyond that. We can tap into having a conversation with God, communicating with our infinite selves. There are different aspects of consciousness, but they're all part of the same thing.
Okay. Okay. That
Did
makes
that
a lot of
answer
sense. I mean,
your
then, like,
question? Okay.
yeah, it totally does. And it relates to a lot of my beliefs that like everything is energy, right? You know, like it's the same kind of thing, right? You
And
know,
that's
like
why energy is always transforming, because it can't be destroyed once it's created. It can be transformed, it can change itself into different things to have different experience, but you know, everything is energy. Everything functions on a vibrational frequency.
right. Right. Yeah. There's one of my favorite quotes. I actually have it on my wall. It's from Albert Einstein. It says, you know, everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And I love that connection. For me, it's like connecting the spiritual to the scientific, because I have a very logical brain in a lot of ways. You know, so I love to be able to like point to the physics of all of this and say, like, there it is. Like, you know, that's it. And something that we all think is conceptual, like it really is proven, which I find to be like pretty cool.
Right. That's why some people, you know, they'll say, oh, this is just like hoodoo, voodoo, whatever. It's not scientific. It's extremely scientific to connect to other versions of spirit, because it's energy.
Yeah.
Your energy, I'm energy, everybody else listening is energy. And if we're connecting to spirit that is in the non-physical realm, it's energy too. The only difference is that I think I'm hearing myself now come back when I speak.
Okay. Okay. Let me turn down my speaker a little bit.
Okay. I didn't know what that was. I thought I was getting a transmission. I'm just kidding. So the only difference is that we're doing something that is very scientifically based, but just like he said, because it functions on a frequency, our frequencies are all over the place in a given day, you know.
Right.
So if you want to connect to a deceased loved one, or communicating with your dog or your cat or your spirit guides, you may have to manipulate things a little bit, because maybe your frequency is, you know, a little bit lower. Maybe you're angry, maybe you're upset about something. So it's not always going to work the same as you just push the button,
Right.
you know, and the computer comes on, or you know, make a call on your phone and it should ring on the other side and somebody should pick up.
Right.
It's like science combined with the art form of learning how to use this non-physical and energetic communication.
Okay. Awesome. So you mentioned like a you know, loved one that it's passed on. So, and I know, your mother's death was very much a part of your journey to get to this place. My birth mother passed away 9 days before my first birthday. And
wow.
for my entire life, I felt like I was the star of a one-man show. Like, I always felt that I was being watched. Always, so much so that, like, when I watched The Truman Show, that movie, I don't know if you've seen that movie, I was like, this is a movie. Like, I kind of, it actually kind of affected me differently, because I was like, so if they're making a movie about this, like, it's fiction, like, this isn't everyone's experience, right? Because it was my experience, I as a kid, and it was my normal, right? So I just felt that, but I didn't know that it was my mother or anything, right? So, and then the mom I had for the majority of my life has also passed away. And I was very, very close with her and loved her very dearly as well. So, I am so interested in connecting with them and hoping that they're, my spirit guides. How do you kind of approach the topic of life after death, and like, is that always the case? Like, are your loved ones a part of your team of spirit guides, or, just talk for a little bit about that. And because I think I think often that's like on a lot of people's minds.
Okay. Well, first of all, this applies to everything we're talking about. Nobody knows 100% for sure, right?
Right.
Unless I was to actually die and cross over, and I actually come back in the physical form, and I can sit here and say, okay, this is exactly what I experienced. Now, I can take someone on a journey, like, let's say we go into a past life, and I can say, okay, I want you to cross over now, and let's find out what happens as you begin to leave your body. And you can get a pretty clear picture, especially when I've done this with thousands of people. You can get a pretty clear picture of what happens to them. There's variations, of course, but there's always pretty much the same basic things. So, now I forgot the actual question.
About your loved ones that have passed on.
Oh, okay.
And, like, are they, you talked about a past life and a journey into that. My question was more around, are they always a part of your spirit guide team?
Got it. Okay. Your spirit guides, and remember, like, whenever people talk about these things, we're just using words to point at things, and they may be things we don't understand 100%, but we sort of have a grasp on it. So everything that I'm saying to you is coming through to me from my guides. Some of the things I already known. Sometimes somebody will ask me a question and it just comes through at that moment. But for basic purposes, your primary spirit guides are coming from your soul. Okay. So your mother necessarily is coming from a different soul. So she's not actually one of your spirit guides. Now, there's anomalies to everything. Even if people say, oh, well, this is universal law, this is gravity. Well, there may be some people on this planet that can let go of gravity and rise above it. We don't know everything. So, but what generally happens in my experience, if a deceased loved one comes in, let's say even when I'm doing a session for someone and we're finding out who their guides are, they're not really your spirit guides. They don't really join the team like in that way. They may attach themselves to be a part of your team for a short time, but your primary spirit guides are coming directly from your own soul. Now, that leads off into a completely other area, because you could actually be your mother. Your soul, remember, can create anything it wants to. And I remember actually a doctor I was working with, and after several sessions, we found out that her mother, and her father were all created from the same soul.
Huh.
The soul wanted to have the experience to see what would the impact be if everyone in the immediate family actually was created from the same soul energy and just put in, coming in through birth onto the planet at different times. And
Interesting.
that was pretty wild. You could
Yeah.
have a split soul,
Huh.
you could have three of you that are here from the same soul at the same time. You could be you could be a truck driver, who has a family in Iowa, and you could even be your own dog.
Wow.
Meaning that now you are separate entities, but they were all created from the same soul.
Huh.
So as far as departed loved ones go and being a part of your spirit guide team, they're not in the same way, but they can be a part of your team. I mean, my mom, died a long time ago, and she still comes in from time to time. I dream about her once a week, once every 2 weeks after all of this time. So she's ever present. Even though she's gone from the physical, her energy and that aspect of my mom's consciousness will always be alive or accessible.
That makes
sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's wild to me. It's hard to make sense of that. In a lot of ways, especially the one soul thing, but I'm very intrigued by it. I just want to say hi to Sarah. Sarah actually is in the airport. She's on their way back. So have a safe flight, Sarah. We miss you. And I'm sure Gil does too, love your new Facebook picture. It's sassy as hell. And your LinkedIn picture. You look awesome. Okay, so
and just to close that off, death is really simply just a continuation of an ever evolving process of your soul's journey. You leave the physical and you cross over, and you're now out of body until you may go into a new incarnation. And it's really just like, let's say you have a vacation planned, you're going to Italy for the summer. You're in Italy, you're having a wonderful journey of experience that you couldn't have the same type of experience at home. And then the vacation is over and you return home, which is reconnected to your soul's energy without a physical body. And you now have a variety of wonderful experiences that will live within that aspect of your consciousness in your memories forever. And, every ending has a new beginning. So you're dead, and we think of people, oh, they're gone, that's it, that's the end of their existence, but it's not. Everyone is moving and shifting into a new beginning of something else.
Yeah. And I definitely believe that. And I believe, in like the Akashic records and all sorts of things, that connect our souls, and, that we're choosing a lot of this, like that we want these experiences, and that, we're choosing to come back, for lack of a better term. And I didn't say it when you said it, but I want to come back to, I love how you said, we're just wrapping words around this shit, like this is, like that, it is so beyond us in a lot of ways that, we have to use our humanness to make sense of it.
Well, think about it. We're talking about something that is infinite. Because outside of the physical realm, even kind of within it in a certain degree, everything is possible. All possibilities exist.
Right.
So we, you and me and everyone listening, are in a finite body. And we we don't really have a finite aspect of consciousness, but we're pretty much consumed within our human realm of consciousness, which is defining, And so how can you experience and understand and contemplate everything when you're in this human body? You can't.
Right.
Not even the great sages did. They can only tap into a certain amount of it. And when I take people into the death experience from wherever we are at that moment, it's like, oh my God, I can see everything. I can feel everything. I can be everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
We can't do that in this human form. We can think about it. We can imagine what that might be like, but we don't fully understand it. You can't experience the infinite when you are stuck in the finite.
Yeah.
We can venture out of the finite, to a certain degree, but it's only to a certain degree. Oh, okay. Short story here. So way back when I first started, and my guides were teaching me how to meditate because I could never meditate. My mind was always going, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But anyways, they finally came up with a meditation that worked for me. And I remember I was just going into a meditative state. And I said to my guides before I started, I said, you know what? Or maybe it was after, and they asked me if I had any questions or anything I wanted to ask. And I said, well, I have been thinking, and I thought it would be really great if I could experience what reality is really like without all of these veils. And they said, well, you may be able to. And I said, no, I don't mean like when I die and I cross over, but as Gil, that's like the fun part of it, being able to tap into that now.
Right.
And that's when they explained to me it's not completely impossible, but it's highly improbable to be in a physical body, in a certain aspect of consciousness to experience the infinite. And they said, but let us give you a little example in a metaphor. And they said, so right now, let's say that you're here talking to Cate, or let's say the two of you are on a phone call together. Mm-hmm. And they say, okay, we're going to remove the first veil. Look around. And I look around and I notice, oh, there's no roof on my house anymore. I can see up to the sky. And they said, okay, now we're going to remove another veil and look out your window. And I say, oh, the houses are all disappearing and some of the plants are disappearing and I just see sky. They said, okay, now we're going to remove another veil and there's no more house. I'm just sitting in this vast space. And now I realize that you're in the space with me. We're not talking on the phone anymore, but we're in the same space, this vast, undefined space. And now we're going to remove the last veil. What do you see? And I say, Cate's not here anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm having a conversation with myself. And they said, exactly. You've been having a conversation with yourself the entire time.
Because we're one?
You are God having this projected experience. But when you take away all the veils and the movie magic of life and the physical, you're just having a conversation with yourself. It's you experiencing. God has become a Gil. God has become a Cate. God has become, my dogs, to experience the physical in these different situations, being born to the parents and into the family that you had, into what I had, the way I think, the way I feel, everything that's happened to me. So if you remove all the veils, everything is truly one, and you're just having a conversation with yourself. That's it. And I was blown away.
Yeah.
Because I was only maybe like a year into this. I had not, maybe it was even less than that. And I understood what they were trying to say to me. And I realized until I cross over, I'll never truly understand or know the magnificence and yet the simplicity of what they were saying. But I got a pretty good idea.
Right. And you knew, right? So the like, what's interesting to me is that like there was a point that your soul experienced that, because then it chose to be you, right? Like, so is that why it's possible? Because we all know, like, that's why some people can do this, or some people have these like gifts. Like I know that that's just wrapping words around it, but
it's not a gift though. Don't stop thinking of it as a gift.
Okay.
Because then it kind of connotates that it's something special.
Right.
You're God.
Yeah.
So if you can't do this right now, it's just because you haven't learned it and you're veiled from like who and what you truly are and your infinite potential. So it's not a gift when this comes through. This was a gift I didn't want. I'm like, take it away. I'm busy doing other things. I don't want this gift, re-gift it to somebody else. It's an innate ability because of what you are. We're all spirit. How could we not talk to other spirits? How could I not be able to stop and put my hand on a tree and communicate with this tree? How could I not be able to put my hands on this desk and close my eyes and let the information wash over me of where this desk originated from? When it was a little seedling growing in the forest, and then it became a big tree, and then they came and cut it down, and then they took it, to the logging place, and then it went to a factory, and then it was, developed into a table, and then it got shipped out, and somebody bought it, and then somebody passed it on to someone else and resold it, and all of those things are available. They're not gifts. I mean, I guess you could say being able to tap into that, you could say, well, it's a gift I'm giving myself because I'm opening up to that.
Right. Because we all have it.
I was specially imbued with something, or you were, or this person over there. It's just, this is something that happened to me because of my mother's death. And so I got pulled into this by trying to figure out what was going. How was it possible? I watched her being cremated. I've got her in a little box, which I still have her in the box. Sorry, Mom. And yet she can see everything that I'm doing in my life. And, this medium is telling me everything. There's no way no one could have known that unless you had hundreds of little mini cams planted in my house, following me everywhere I go.
Right.
But that's the beauty of being out of body and being able to connect and see everything, to be everywhere all at once, to tune in to whatever you want to. So we all have that within us. And that's why I teach what I do, because I want to teach everyone how to connect to their spirit guides. It's like in a human form. It's even beyond this, but I sometimes equate it to, what if you were at this stage of your life and you never learned how to read or write? And there are people that haven't. It stifles their life to a certain degree because
it's all around.
Difficult for them to branch out. They're limited or kind of handicapped in this certain area of being able to learn on their own and engage in certain things. But this is even so much more than that, because it's opening you up to everything and to be able to experience and experiment and just play in the playground of the unseen, which is all around us. You think you're just sitting there. I'm sure there are like 5 spirits sitting behind me right now going, yeah. In fact, I was talking to some lady the other day, and she said, I can see, there's this man and this woman with gray hair like behind you. And, my dogs are always looking at spirits. It's like, what's that? And I turn and look and I think, is it a bug? What are they following? And they are seeing all of these spirits that are in basically the unseen realm to us, but we can open up to that.
Yeah, right.
All of this to just say, I don't consider them gifts because it's something that we naturally have.
Yeah.
And you can just choose to use it or not use it.
And it's a matter of learning, just like anything else.
That's
all. Okay. I want to quick say good morning to Lisa. Thanks for being here. I'm going to ask a couple more questions. I'm super excited to get to the guided journey part. But I want to invite you all to ask questions. If this is new to you or if it's not and you want to just ask Gil a little bit more, please, enter those questions in. We really do want this to be interactive, especially after we do the guided journey. But as I continue to ask questions right now, like I said, I have a couple more that I want to ask. Let us know if you have something that you want to ask, please. Okay, so, there's so much. Okay. We talked a little bit about misconceptions, right? Like as a part of this. So I don't want to dig too deep into that. But I do want to talk a little bit about, the benefits of this. You talked about
what though? We didn't really go into the important part of the misconception. Okay. So if you don't mind, let me just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. No,
so, now, I may have said this already, but I don't think I said it in this conversation. And I want to just make it clear because this information is not, at least the last time I checked it, it's not really out there the way it should be. But your spirit guides are not these random spirits. Your spirit guides are your own past, present, and future versions of yourself.
Of your soul or
yourself. And of your soul.
Okay.
Because those versions of yourself are being experienced by your soul. So let's say one of your guides happens to be a potato farmer in, 1800 Ireland. That was you. You had that experience on your soul journey. That's one of your past lives. You can have a spirit guide that is from the future. Your spirit guide, one of your spirit guides could actually be a version of yourself when you were 3 years old in this particular reality. Your spirit guide can come to you in just energetic form. Because remember, your soul can place its soul energy into anything. So even if it's just placing its energy into, let's say, some body of natural gas that's moving through the ether of time and space, that could be your spirit guide as well.
Okay.
And your soul usually chooses these guides to be sent out to you in the form that it comes to you in, because something about that experience that you had in that physicalized form correlates to something you're going through now. Maybe not an exact 100% to 100%, but there's something. And so the guide is coming, that version of yourself is coming back to you to remind you, like, you've done this or you've experienced this,
Right.
This is how you get back on track, or because all your guides work like as a collective. You can ask any one of your guides anything. They all have the same knowledge and wisdom, but the way your spirit guides, or I should say the versions of you, are chosen is because something about that relates to something that you're going through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it ties back to how you are God or source. And I think this helps me. I'm not particularly religious anymore. I definitely spiritual, but I definitely believe in God and a higher power. But I think this concept can help people that are deeply religious and are like wrap their minds around it, right? Because, a big part of most religions, most theology is that, God is everywhere, that there is this divine, infinite love that is there for you at all times, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can wrap your head around that, not being some entity in the sky, but instead being you and all of the people around you, I I think that would help someone who is struggling with this framework, for lack of a better term.
I remember when I first asked my guides, and this was probably within the first year that I realized I had spirit guides. Well, what is God? And they said, God is simply the energy and the consciousness of every living thing. Every turtle, every frog, every dog, every cat, every human, every tree, every, the running water, every alien, everything that's in the universe, the multiverses, the everything, all of that connected together is the God intelligence, that God source energy. And that was very clear, and it made perfect sense to me that, we're not just, as some religions say, made in the image of, because God is not a man, not a woman. It could present itself that way if it chooses to, but it's a consortium. It's an energetic, intelligent, imaginative, creative body of energy. That's everything. If you took away all of life and everything that exists, God would just, well, it wouldn't collapse, because that energy still exists in the non-physical.
Right.
But we're coming from the non-physical, being birthed, I guess you could say, or grown into a physical state to experience a physical experience. But home is, back there, up wherever it is. It's
right. Awesome. Okay. I mean, like I said, I could ask a million questions, and I know that we could talk forever, but I want to get, if you think it's appropriate, I would love to get to the guided journey portion. What do you think? Have we covered enough? Okay.
We can always do more questions later, but let's take the journey.
Okay.
So let's see. What do I want to tell people about the journey? Let me take a look at my notes, because it still is early in the morning for me.
Right.
My aspect of consciousness, part of it is still in bed. All right. So this is a conscious journey. So I want everyone to just be aware, like, nothing's going to happen to you. No evil spirits are going to come in. You're going to be aware, but I'm going to guide you into a deeply relaxed state of consciousness to get you to that space where you can just be in the moment without distractions. It's really, if you are in a setup where you have the opportunity to hear me and like lie down on the sofa, lie on top of your bed, or on a yoga mat on the floor.
Yeah, I'll sprawl out on my desk.
If you can use headphones, it's even better, because the closer the sound of my voice is to your ears and you're blocking out everything else, provides a little bit better journey. But if you have to sit in a chair and be at your desk or wherever you are, that's fine too. But the most important thing is just trust. It's like you're 5 years old and I say, hey, let's do this, let's play this, and just go with it. Trust while you're in the journey, and I'm prompting you to bring your guide in or to ask certain things of your guides. Don't question what's coming into you, because it's the questioning and your mind trying to rationalize things that are happening that can interrupt your journey and block the information from coming in. You
Okay.
can always think about what happened on the journey afterwards. You can always question it. You can go back and ask your guides about it, but just trust what's coming in, because it's usually the first hit of information that you get is the most truthful, the most honest.
Okay.
And so that's very important, to just trust what's coming in. All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So what we should do, everyone should just turn off their cameras so you have no distraction. I'll actually turn off my camera too right now, and you'll continue to hear me and just follow my lead. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm in the ether. All right. Take a few deep breaths and just let it out. And at this time, we ask that only those spirits of the highest vibrational frequency that are here in love to serve your highest good be present for this experience. We also ask that the highest vibrational frequency of everyone taking this journey, past, present, future, and all spirit guides collectively, be linked together in a synergistic frequency. So let's begin with a little breathing process. And what I'd like you to do now is to just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And you want to make sure that you're drawing the breath in deeply and that you're releasing the breath deeply. This is all about deep breathing, focusing on the practice of breathing deeply. You might even want to think about drawing the breath in on a 4 count, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then releasing it 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't have to be an exact 4 count. You just want to make sure that you're inhaling deeply and then releasing deeply. And just continue practicing this method of breathing for a few moments, allowing it to become comfortable and natural for you. And when I say allowing, there's nothing that you need to know how to do. It's just a suggestion to let it be, let it happen. You will remember everything that happens on your journey. You will enter a deep state of relaxation, but you will always remain conscious and aware. As you continue breathing deeply, simply allow the density and the weight of your body to slowly fade away. Allow all thoughts to fade away. There's nothing else for you to focus on except this present moment, being fully present here in this moment with me, with your guides, with everyone taking this journey. This is your reality. And know that every breath you take is now rebalancing, realigning, and opening your channel. You are peaceful, calm, relaxed, centered, focused, and expanding. You are infinite. This is your reality. Okay, you can release the deep breathing if you haven't already. Just breathe normally, comfortably, naturally. Now I want you to think of a memory, something that's close to your heart. This memory should be something that touches your heart in a very deep way. Now, this could be a cherished memory of something that touches you in a beautiful and joyful way, or touches you through a deep sense of sadness or grief. There's no right or wrong memory to use, but I would probably go with the first memory you receive that comes into your mind, or the memory that comes in the strongest if you're getting several different things. So go ahead and find that memory now, using a memory that the most important thing is that it touches your heart in a very deep way. Okay? So go ahead, find that memory now. Okay, good. Now, I want you to take this memory out of your mind space and place it directly into the center of your heart. Simply move it out of the mind space and down into your heart. Use your imagination if you need to, and just think of sliding that memory out of your mind down into your heart. And once you've moved the memory into your heart space, I want you to release all of the emotion from this memory, all of the circumstances, all of the events of this memory, and allow it to fill the entire heart space. You can just give it away to your heart. Allow this memory to fill your heart space and stay with this feeling for a few moments. Okay, good. Now, listen carefully to the sound of my voice as I guide you further into a deeply relaxed state of consciousness. As I count from 30 down to 1, you will release all fear and doubt as you shift into a complete state of knowing, allowing the natural flow of your own inner guidance to unfold. Allow yourself to become pure intelligence, allowing yourself to become pure imagination. Allow yourself to become pure light and love as you enter the realm of infinite possibility. So listen to the sound of my voice, and every time you hear me say the word deeper, you will automatically go 10 times deeper into a deeply relaxed state of consciousness every time you hear me say the word deeper. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, deeper, deeper, and deeper. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, going deeper, deeper, and deeper. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, going deeper, deeper, and deeper. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, going deeper, deeper, and deeper, passing through theta, shifting into delta, going deeper and deeper. You are now in a deeply relaxed state of consciousness, ready to connect to your primary spirit guide. You will now begin communication with your primary spirit guide just using telepathy. That is silently speaking to your guide, using the exchange of thoughts in your mind to communicate. Just like the way you would be having a conversation with yourself in your own mind. Although some people talk to themselves out loud, but we're just going to silently use telepathy to communicate with your guide. So what I want you to do right now is just call in your primary guide and ask them to introduce themselves to you by name. And I want you to take whatever name comes into your mind. It doesn't matter what the name is or if it makes sense to you right now or it doesn't make sense. Just take the first name that comes into you. So go ahead and ask your primary spirit guide to please come forward and introduce yourself to me by name. Go ahead and do that now. And take your time, be patient, and allow the name to appear to you in your mind's eye, or to receive the name being spoken to you silently through telepathy, or you may simply experience a sense of the name, and that's fine too. And remember to take the first name that comes into you, no matter what name they give you. Do not try to rationalize anything. So ask your spirit guide, if you haven't already, please come forward and introduce yourself to me by name. Take a little more time. Okay, good. Now, if you didn't receive a name, that's okay. Don't concern yourself with that right now. Just relax, stay present in the moment. You can always find out your guide's name later. Okay, let's move on. Now I'd like you to just experience your guide's energy. Just experience your guide's energy for a few moments. Allow yourself to bask in the energy that's flowing through to you from your guide. You may experience some physical sensation in your body, or simply feel an overall sense of calm and peace. And this could be a very subtle energy or a very powerful energy. Whatever you feel, just allow it to flow through to you. And don't worry if you didn't get your guide's name. Whenever you call your guides in, they are always there for you. So know that they're there. And just allow yourself to feel the energy that's coming through to you from your guide. What does this energy feel like? Now, while you're feeling your guide's energy, if perhaps you were not able to receive your guide's name clearly before, you might want to ask again right now and see if it flows through to you. Or you can simply continue enjoying the flow of the energy from your guide that's flowing through to you. Take another minute. Okay, good. Let's move on. Time for some questions. So now I'd like you to ask your guide, what is the most important thing you need to hear today in this very moment? What is it that you really need to hear today? If your guide could only tell you one thing, what is the most important thing they'd want you to hear today in this very moment? So go ahead and ask your guide, what is the most important thing you want me to hear and to know today in this very moment? Go ahead and do that now. And remember to take your time, be patient. When you're communicating with your guides, there's no need to go searching for anything. Just ask your question, state your question, and simply allow the information to drift into you as easily as a cloud floating through the sky. What is the most important thing you need to hear today in this very moment? Take a little bit more time. Okay, good. Let's move on. Now let's find out what your guide is here to help you with. So I want you to ask your guide, what are you here to help me with? What area of my life are you here to help me focus on and transform? All of your guides can answer any question. They work together as a team. But remember, we talked a little bit about your guide. Each guide is sent here with a specific overall focus. So ask your guide what they're here to help you with. What area of your life is this guide here to help you focus on and to help you transform? And remember, don't push, just be patient, ask your question, and allow the information to drift into you. What is your guide here to help you with? What area of your life is this guide here to help you transform? Go ahead. Now, if you're having any difficulty receiving this information, simply ask your guide to break it down for you, or sometimes even to give you a single word or an image that represents what they're here to help you with. Then once you receive that, you can ask them to clarify and explain more. What does that word or image represent? What is the meaning or the message behind it? So make sure that you get clear on what this guide is here to help you with. What area of your life is this guide here to help you transform? Take a little bit more time. Okay, time to move on. Now I'd like you to imagine that your spirit guide has just handed you an envelope, just a regular letter-sized envelope. And this envelope is addressed to you. Now, it doesn't matter if you can actually see the envelope or not. Just know that it's there. Know that your spirit guide has it. And inside this envelope is a very special invitation. This is an invitation that will explain to you what your soul is inviting you to experience as the next essential step you need to take in your life. So I want you to bring this invitation into your heart and give yourself permission to know the truth. Now, allow your guide to tell you what your invitation says. Allow your guide to tell you what this invitation says. What is your soul urging you to experience as the next essential step you need to take in your life? Ask your guide what this invitation says. Go ahead and do this now. I'll give you a few minutes. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but take a few more moments, if you need to get clear on what your invitation says. And don't worry if all the information is not fully flowing through to you right now. You may receive additional information after the journey, and you can always come back and take the journey again if you need to. So just take another minute or so to get very clear. What is the next essential step you need to take in your life? Okay, very good. Now that you understand what your soul is guiding you to experience as the next essential step you need to take in your life, I want you to know that this is your personal truth. Taking action on this guidance will raise your vibrational frequency and bring you one step closer to experiencing the life of true abundance and inner peace that you've been searching for, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve or transform. This will take you one step closer. So please act on this guidance as soon as possible. I want you to just take a moment right now to thank your primary spirit guide for showing up today and sharing this information with you. You will remember everything you just experienced, and you may call upon this guide anytime you want to receive further guidance. But for now, say your goodbyes, let your guide drift off into the distance, thanking them for their presence today. Just let them drift away. Take a few moments to simply bask in the high vibrational frequency that you're experiencing right now, and allow yourself to bring this energy back with you. It's time to return to your body and awaken. I will awaken you up by counting from 1 to 10, and when I say 10, you will open your eyes, feeling fully alert, refreshed, relaxed, your mind and body being in complete alignment, and you can keep your guide's energy with you. That high vibrational feeling that you may be feeling, the inner peace, whatever it is, you can keep it with you. 1, 2, 3, more and more awake, feeling refreshed and alert. 4, 5, 6, more and more awake, filled with energy. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Open your eyes and take your time coming back. Every little journey you take with your guides feels different. Stretch out your arms and legs if you need to. Wiggle your toes. Sometimes you might want to focus on a few objects in the room to help ground yourself. And that's it. We're back. You can turn your cameras back on.
All right. Thank you. So you do this on a regular basis for people, right? And so how did you develop this method?
My guides just told me what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of freaky, but like where you say, well, you just don't wake up and become a luminary one day. You can.
Right. That's why you smile.
Over time and all these years, I've learned certain things. I've come into a certain amount of wisdom from my guides that I didn't have before. But basically, this voice kept waking me up in the middle of the night. And finally, like after the 6th or 7th time, I was so annoyed, I just yelled out, who are you? What do you want? Tell me what you want and who you are. Just get out of my house. And the next morning I woke up and the voice started talking to me. And when I asked who it was, I think it said like, we are many things. You can consider us master teachers, spirit guides, whatever. And I said, well, what do you want? And they said, we're going to put you on a fast track to help other people. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. What are you talking about? And then they proceeded to tell me things about 6 different people. 3 of them I knew already. They were like close friends. The others were kind of acquaintances. And then they said, no, get up and call everyone and tell them what we said.
Yeah, you shared this.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yes.
And that's how it started. And I wasn't even thinking about using it for myself. I realized, people could ask me questions and I could give them advice based on what the guides were saying. And I think I had also told Sarah that in the beginning, I was just doing what I would consider like intuitive counseling. Come to me with a problem, a situation that you want help with, ask me what you want to know, and I'll get the information the best I can to guide you. Until my guide said to me one day, well, everybody has spirit guides, Gil, not just you. And everybody's guides are just their own past, present, and future versions of themselves. They're you. They're coming from their soul, which I thought was very strange. And I couldn't find anything on the internet about that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really do anything with it. I was just continuing doing these intuitive guidance sessions, which were great. And then one day a lady came in to have some intuitive guidance, and she asked me, she said, before we get started, I have a question. And she asked me, is it true that our spirit guides are just our own past, present, future versions of ourselves? And I was like, where did you hear that? Where'd you get that information? And
Yeah.
she said, I don't know. I dropped the kids off to school and I'm driving on my way here. And I was thinking, okay, what's everything I want to ask Gil? And she said, and this weird thought just popped into my head. So I knew at that moment, and I could feel my guide saying, we're trying to tell you, you did not misinterpret the information. Everybody's guides are coming from their own soul. They're their versions of themselves. So I said to her, how much time do you have? And she was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours before I have to pick the kids up. And I said, okay, lay down. She got on the sofa. I covered her with a blanket. I'm like, take your shoes off. And I said, close your eyes. And I'm asking my guides, what do I do? And they just guided me through kind of like a thing like I just took everyone through just to get them deeply relaxed. We brought all her guides in, found out who they were, went into past lives, into future life, all these different things for 4 hours.
Wow.
And when she came out of it, she sat up and she was like, tears were just streaming down her face. And she was like, what the hell was that? I said, I don't know. Well, how did it feel? She's like, it was amazing. And so every time somebody came in for an intuitive session, I asked them how much time they had. Would you like to try something new? And I did it. And I'm like, oh my God, everybody does have guides. It seems like everybody's guides are their own selves. And we're getting all this incredible information. And I think it was maybe the 6th or 7th client that came in that I did this for. And in the middle of her session, this woman said, my guides have some information for you. And I said, okay, what is it? And she said, they're telling me to tell you, don't go back to doing that other thing. Do this. This is the new way forward. Teach everybody how to connect on their own so they can become their own source of guidance.
Yeah.
And my guides swooped in at that moment. They're like, yes, that's what we're trying to get you to. Now you got it. This is it.
Okay. Cool.
And that's how I learned. I didn't know anything.
Yeah. I love that. So please, audience, if you are here with us still and you experience this journey, obviously people that are viewing this later can do this. People that popped in the middle, whatever your experience was, please share it. This is your opportunity to ask Gil anything you want. And if you received any messages at all that you're willing to share, please do. I'm going to go ahead and share what I experienced.
Okay, great.
But please take the opportunity to jot some comments in here so that we can expand this a little bit. So I've always struggled with meditation. Like when you said I've had a trouble with it, that really resonated with me. I have a very, very active brain. So I struggled with it. So I just went with the first thing that came to mind, and it was hard for me to feel like it wasn't my own imagination, but then I remembered, well, it is me, right? So that's okay. And so that was one of the first things I just wanted to kind of ask, because that was a part of the trusting for me. I had to just kind of trust. And the words that were coming to me were very familiar. And so that also made me feel like I think I was expecting something more unexpected. Does that make sense?
And that's why I said don't place any expectations on it, because
right,
that can stop the flow.
Right. So I had to, so reminding myself to trust. So I felt like I wasn't as deep as maybe I should have been, because I had to kind of actively remind myself to trust. Does that happen in your experience?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, good. So my spirit guides.
How were you receiving what information you did receive? Was it coming? Some people actually get images like in their mind, like they could see the name. Some people might like sense like they're hearing it, but it's like within their mind rather than through their ears. Other people, it can just wash over you like a sense of knowing, you know.
Yeah, for me, it just felt like a thought. I don't think I see, or I know I don't see anything. It's just always black.
That's fine. I see nothing either.
Okay.
And I'm an artist. I'm extremely visual, but when it comes to, you know, this, I don't see it. I see it through a sense of knowing. Like, let's say that I was connected to, let's say, one of your past lives, and I'm explaining to you what I see in this particular past life. And I can say, you know, it seems like, you know, the Roaring 20s, and you're on stage and you're a singer and you're dancing and you're wearing this beaded thing and the room is smoky and all. I don't see anything.
It's just knowing.
But it's the knowing, but it's so clear that I could literally sketch a picture of what everything looked like without having to see it in my mind's eye.
Right. Okay.
And sometimes I may get like an internal flash of something visually, but I don't worry about that anymore, because the guides have explained to me that being able to receive through your intuitive flow, through a sense of knowing, is actually probably one of the quickest forms of intuition.
Okay.
Because you don't have to listen, you don't have to see, you don't have to taste or smell to figure out what the interpretation is. It's just knowing.
Okay. So that really helps me, because that is what it felt like to me, 100%. Okay. It felt like just a flash of knowing, like a thought, like just bang. And every question that we asked, the bang happened as you were talking. Like, so, you know, like, so you know, like it was clear to me we were going to ask what the name was, and it just, Bob. That's all, Bob. And I was like, Bob? You know, and Bob is actually the name of my father-in-law, who passed away a couple years ago. But I didn't get a sense it was him. I didn't get a sense it was anyone. It just said Bob, you know, and like, so I didn't get a sense of anything. But I was like, okay, Bob, you know, that's weird. And then I got another name of Susan, and I was like, no, Bob came first. Like, so it has to be Bob.
That's perfect. And Susan may be one of your other guides. We don't know.
Yeah. So,
and guides can sometimes change their names. What they will do is, I mean, your guides don't really have names because they're in non-physical form at the time you're accessing them. And it may just be a blob of energy, you know?
Yeah.
So they don't really have names per se, but what they will do, especially when we're dealing with more than one guide, it's good to have a name or a visual image, because what if you have 7 guides, you know?
Right.
You're trying to identify them in the beginning. They will choose a name that fits their frequency, what they feel like. Sometimes it could be the name, if your guide shows up as a human, it might be the name that they had when they were in that physical form. Mm-hmm. But they will choose a name that represents the frequency they feel like. Or if you're not getting it, they may choose any name they think you will be receptive to.
Okay.
Your dog, your neighbor, your brother, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then as you get to know them more, sometimes they will readjust that. And sometimes people get Jesus, you know, as their first guide that comes in. And then usually along the way on their journey, the guide at some point will say, I'm not actually Jesus, you know, I was actually, you know, an old woman in the 1600s that lived here, but you were comfortable with Jesus, so I was Jesus for the moment, you know. Okay. And then they readjust. People tell me this all the time. They don't want you to struggle. And so they will present themselves as true as possible. But if your system, so to speak, is having trouble with that truth because of expectations, or you're highly religious, so you can only accept your guides and religious deities, then that's what they'll do for the time being.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense, because
Mhm.
they're a part of you and they're there
Right.
to serve you. So they want, and then I knew we were asked, as you started to ask, the sense of what I'm supposed to do was to do it all. That's what it said, which does resonate with something and to act, like to just start doing it, not stop thinking.
To act on it. Take
Yes.
it out of the head, take your dream out of your mind and put it into reality.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You remember on the first question, that was, what are your guides want you to know the most, like right now in this moment? Was that something different? Or it was
do it
do
all.
everything? Okay.
Do it all. And I had to trust again, because I actually saw that message very early this morning in a LinkedIn, like in a TED talk, like a little clip. And so I was like, so part of me was concerned, like, am I just remembering that? But then I was like, it just didn't stop. It just said, do it all. And then when you asked it to go deeper, it said, stop thinking so much, act, just act. And then it was, you know it all. Like, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be doing it. So that felt really, 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 really reassuring,
That's the thing too about receiving guidance, is that depending on what you're asking for guidance in, because I've sometimes in the very beginning, I used to use my computer and keyboard and type the conversation out with the guide, so I would remember everything, especially if people were sending me a question like, why can't I get rid of this pain in my foot, or where's this coming from? I needed to type it out for them. So, and I could go back and refer it, but I could send it to them. And no, I just lost track again of what I was going to say. What were you saying right before that? Something triggered me too.
Oh, like the message I saw before?
Oh, I was going to say that that you can be receiving divine guidance, but it might also match up with what you've already been thinking in your mind, or having thoughts coming in and out, which could be also a combination of your own personal wisdom, mixed with the intuitive flow that's coming in. Now, sometimes, like, that's what I was getting to. Sometimes if I was typing something out, I go back and read it and I'd be like, whoa, that's definitely not me. I would never put it this way, say it this way, or this is like beyond my normal Gil state of thinking and how to approach things. And you can tell, but sometimes it feels like, well, duh, I've already been thinking about that for the last 3 months. But it doesn't mean that your guides are not acknowledging that, yes, this has been on your mind, and stop thinking about it. Do it already.
And is that also a reflection of that my guides have been speaking to me this whole time?
Yeah.
And telling me to do it and trying to get me to do it and taking every opportunity.
Because when you're having those conversations in your mind and your intuition is urging you to do something, push you in a certain direction, that is coming in from your own intuitive flow. But where it gets confusing sometimes is that we're doing this all within this mind space, this consciousness space, which is the same place we talk to ourselves every day.
Right.
So the feeling
the
is
same.
kind of the same. It's not like all of a sudden everything, changes into technicolor and your guides pop out and it's not that way. It's more subtle. It can be extremely strong, but we have to get used to, this is the same space that we've been talking to ourselves ever since the day we were born, even before we popped out of the womb. So now the key is to just recognize what's authentic divine guidance and what is coming from your racing mind of negative thought. And the best way to tell is this guidance, this information infused with love, with positivity? Is there any fear or negativity in it?
That is what I fucking needed to hear,
okay?
Gil.
So, quick example. So maybe you are having trouble in a relationship, or it could just be like a friend, a longtime friend, and divine guidance would sound something like this. Okay, let's look at the situation. Why is this person in your life? How did this person come into your life? Do you care about this person? Do you love this person? As opposed to, you know what, Cate? Get this bitch out of your life. Close the door. You've done so much for her. This is just dragging on and on and on. It's the same old thing every day. Set yourself free. Cut the cord. The other wisdom would be introducing these questions to you and maybe say to you, why don't you think about the original reason that you became friends with this person, what you've been getting out of this relationship all this time, what you'd like to get out of it, and allow yourself to come from a place of love before you make a decision on what to do. That's guidance that's not only good for you, but good for them as well. It incorporates everything in the big picture, as where the other is like your ego mind. It's like a friend who really cares about you, but just doesn't have the wisdom to give you really good guidance.
Right.
And they do the best they can, and they're like, shut the door, get them out, kick them out. That's it. And that's the best way that you can tell. The other way is just ask your guides. Was that you or was that me? Wait for the answer. If you're not getting an answer, ask them again. Was that you or was that me? And sometimes my guides will say, no, it was a little bit of both. And then I may ask, okay, well, I'm only interested in what you have to say. And they might say, okay, this is what we think without your flow coming into it. Or they may say, well, what you brought into it was actually wisdom too.
When you do this dialogue with them, do you have to get into a meditative state, or are you able to do it in real time?
Real time.
Okay.
A client of mine, I think it was last month, she said to me, this has all been such an incredible journey, and I get really frustrated because I want to have that time to sit down and really communicate with them or journal out my conversations with them. And she said, but between my husband, the kids, the dog, the cat, my job, my neighbors, everything else, like I'm shell shocked sometimes at the end of the day. And I barely have time for anything. And I said, well, what are you doing when you're brushing your teeth? She said, I'm brushing my teeth. I said, well, why can't you brush your teeth and ask your guides, what should I focus on today?
Yeah.
And then they respond, maybe compassion. And you can say compassion for other people or myself.
Right.
For both.
Yeah.
That's it. Best guidance you could have got in less than 30 seconds. And how many times can you do that throughout the day? Open the refrigerator. What should I eat now? Which basically means what's not not what's going to taste good, but what is going to give your body the nutrients it needs in this moment.
Yes.
Simple things. I mean, sometimes I'll be standing in the checkout line, at the grocery store, and I'll see someone interesting, and I'll ask my guides, what's their story?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Why do strawberries have seeds on the outside? What? There are a million short little questions you can ask your guide to begin building up the rapport. And that way you don't have to sage the room, light candles, going. If you can meditate, like even 10 minutes a day, that will really increase the chances of you having a really strong connection, but you don't have to meditate at all.
Okay.
I don't like to meditate. I meditated in the beginning. Every once in a while, when I feel like I'm not centered, I will go back to meditating. But,
Okay.
It's not something I want to do for an hour a day, but I can still communicate. So just talk to them. That's it.
Very cool. And I think the big distinguishing factor for me in what you said is that the guidance is always love-based, and the bullshit that is in your mind is the fear-based stuff, and that's a big distinguisher. Between, because in a lot of ways I don't know if we're conditioned, or I want to say conditioned, but we have so many negative thoughts, like takes up so much space in our minds. So I think it's been powerful for me, and it's exactly what I needed to hear, that I will know the difference, and that's like a tool I can use to kind of check out the facts, almost like, is this divine guidance? Is this my soul, my higher self telling me what to do? Or is this, nonsense? Is this just negative?
And if you're not getting a response in that moment that you ask, because remember, everything's frequency, everything's energy, let it go for the moment.
Okay.
Ask in an hour, ask tomorrow, keep asking until, and also you can say, please allow, or I'm allowing, or I'm asking that the truth be revealed.
Yeah.
So you place an intention that you want to know the truth, because our minds are powerful, and you can trick yourself even when you're talking to your guides.
Right.
The worst case scenario, it's not a worst case scenario, but you can always ask somebody else who's intuitive. Don't give them all the information. Ask the basic, with as few details as possible. What do you think about this? Or if it's someone that uses their guides, what do your guides say about this? And see if that information is in alignment with what you got.
So what did your guides think about what I experienced?
Oh, I don't know. Let me ask them now. About what you experienced in this journey today?
Yes. Yeah. The do it all, the act.
They're saying, yes, do it all. If that's what you came in to this life to experience on a broad level, do it all. You're here now. It's like I said earlier, like you're going to Italy. Well, don't leave out this thing if that's what you want to see, and make sure you eat at this restaurant that someone told you about. Do all the things that you want to experience, and anything new that comes to you, while you're on that journey, open up to that as well. Mm-hmm. One thing that my guides have taught me is, that's another journey. But anyways, is how important it is to follow your dreams. Mm-hmm. It's not always that important that you succeed at reaching all your goals of your dreams, but what's most important is that you follow them, because following them means you step out on that path to where your soul is asking you to go to experience this. On that pathway, you may run into something else or someone else, and you're like, oh my God, I like this much better. This is fascinating and you go in that direction, you don't know where life is going to take you until you set out on the path. But sorry, my dog, your dreams, those things that your soul, that your spirit is urging you to experience, those are important. There's a reason that you're being urged, that you feel that need, or you're feeling a lack of something until you do this. But it's not all. It's great if you can achieve your dreams and your goals.
Yeah.
But sometimes your goals, your desires, and your dreams may change on the path. And that's why it's important that you at least get on that path and start doing them. You know, maybe somebody's always dreamed of whatever, writing children's stories, but they're all in your head. You know, you have a very busy job. You're a CEO of some major company, and it's like, you know, nonstop work. People are waking you up at 4 o'clock in the morning with questions, things coming in from Beijing. So what?
Right.
Take an internet course where you can, you know, it's DIY, do it yourself. You don't have to show up at a certain time.
Right.
Do it when you're on a plane, you know, going to Japan or whatever it is. Start investing yourself into your dreams, because there's nothing more important than following your dreams in order to have fulfillment in this life.
Yeah. Beautiful. I want to share, Jenna did share her experience.
Let's see.
So she said, a wonderful experience, Gil. Thank you. I experienced a powerful sense of a masculine energy and messages that were also present and reflected what I experienced in my recent QHHT session. I heard, felt, and saw the words flow in. Lots of reinforcement and clear communication as to what to do next. My information also came through as Gil was speaking. And then she said, thank you.
Great. What's HH?
QHHT, that's quantum hypnosis, or quantum healing hypnosis therapy, or I might have it reversed. But very similar in goals into what you do and to what you just did, I think.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's also sometimes when I'm working with people privately, as soon as I start to ask the question, the information just comes in. But in doing something like this, where it's for a group of people, you never know how quickly somebody's getting it and how slowly or resistance they may have. And so that's why sometimes in a group thing, I do come back in and say, you know, make sure that you are patient, just let it flow into you, because those people that are not getting it as soon as I pose the question, they need that reinforcement. So in a group setting, you have to allow for both things to happen.
Yeah.
And it's the most difficult, because I've had people sometimes in group settings say, I was waiting for the next question because I got the answer as soon as you said it. And then I had to figure out, what do I do for these 2 minutes now? I'm like, there's no perfect or easy, you know, way to do that in a group.
Right.
Everybody gets it eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine were lightning fast. And then as soon as I got the last message of, you know, you have to act, you have to stop, like, my urge was just to be like, okay, you're done. You got what you needed. Get up, you know? And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to do what it says to do, you know? And so I just got up, and so it was very interesting. So it looks like we didn't, it also appears as though we're not really connecting with YouTube today. So sometimes there's little glitches or whatever. I'm not getting comments through from one platform to another. So maybe we don't have a lot of folks on YouTube today, or maybe the comments just aren't coming through. But I urge you to please comment, you know, if you do this afterwards, you know, let us know what your experience is. If you have additional questions for Gil, we can certainly get them to you. Gil, if you could text me or email me that link, I would love to post it along with, you know, the stream on the 2 platforms. so that people can, if they want to experience it outside of this episode, they could go, that is kind of your gift to us, I think, is this experience and this guided journey. So I'd love to give them kind of two different ways to access that. And then I really want to thank you today. What a wealth of knowledge you bring to this conversation and to this topic in general. And then tell us, like, just to end, like, how do you work with people? You've told several stories of like clients coming in or people coming to work with you. Do you do that work remotely? If some of our audience are interested, do they just reach out? Do you have a website? Tell us a little bit more so that
I do have a website. It's just my name, gilalan.com.
Okay.
And you can always reach me at either gil@gilalan.com, support@gilalan.com. All the emails eventually get to me, even if other people are sourcing them.
Okay.
And I work with people remotely because I work with people all over the world. And I used to really enjoy working with people, like they would come to my house in the beginning. And that's when we were doing these crazy, like 8-10 hour sessions. The longest one I ever did was 14 hours, which is insane. But it was fun because, I'd put food out on the table. We'd take a break. Sometimes we'd take a walk, or we'd go to dinner or lunch and then come back. And those were really wonderful. But, you can only do so many of those.
Right.
And also, I didn't want to keep it based on only people that were in Los Angeles. And I find that working like over Zoom or this YouTube thing that you've got going, whatever, I call it a thing, it is great because people can be more relaxed in their own home. They don't have to worry about like, who's this weird guy and going to his house, and you don't have to dress up or do anything, and we can both be comfortable. And it's great because I can work with people all over the world. Twice a year, sometimes 3 times a year, we have these group workshops called Awaken Your Inner Guidance, and they last for like 8 to 10 weeks.
Wow.
Everybody gets a personal instructor when they enter the workshop. So somebody to look over their assignments to see if they're actually getting like, true divine guidance. And it's sort of like a do-it-yourself on your own time. There are recordings like a journey like today, like I just took everyone through to listen to. But then you also have the access to a personal instructor. And then I'll come in like on Saturday mornings to do a live thing. But again, if people can't access that, they just can watch the replay. So that's one way I can work with like more people at a time.
Yeah.
And then I have a program like where some people want to do like 60 days with me, intimate type of experience where we're just working together for, 1, 2, 3 hours at a time over a 60-day period. That's like if you really want to skyrocket.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
people that want to be healers, or some people that just want to learn how to communicate so well with their spirit guides that it's like, you don't need me anymore.
Okay.
I asked this guy the other day, well, what is it you want to achieve by doing this? And he said, I don't want to ever have to come to you again. I'm like, then this is the course you want to take.
Okay.
I have like one journey where I can work with someone for like 3 hours. It just depends what somebody needs and what they are looking to achieve. And then I can kind of create what I think would be the best package or way to go for you. And that also changes from year to year.
Yeah, I suppose.
Sometimes I'll
as
offer
as you evolve.
As I evolve, whatever my schedule, can handle for that year and that time, or, like now I'm gravitating towards trying to work with people over longer periods of time. So they get this so good that they don't ever have to come to me. You don't ever have to go to a medium or a psychic. You just got it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than the 1 hour sessions were a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit. But
Teaching
then I
them to
may
fish
change and
rather
go
than
back
fishing
and
for them.
yeah, I may open it back up to 1 hour sessions.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
always different. So the best way is to get in contact with me. You can set up a free, like 30-minute consultation, and we can figure out, well, what is it that you're looking to transform? What are you looking to achieve? And figure out like how much time that would take. Some people are looking for a healing. They want to heal their cancer, their seizures, whatever they have, and you can do it.
Yeah.
You just really just have to find out, like, why is this cancer here? Why did I get cancer?
What do I have to do?
And then once you figure out why it's here, what do I have to do to release it?
Yeah.
One of my very first clients that like healed from something major, I didn't even know it was possible. She healed from MS.
Wow.
That was getting really bad, and all she did is do what her guide suggested, bringing this thing into her life. They actually asked her to make a list of the 10 most important things that that used to bring her great joy, but she was not doing anymore. And so we made the list together over a session, and I said, well, what now? What does she do? And they said, do the list. And that was it. And so I checked in with her every once in a while. She lived in Paris, and I said, how's it going? She's like, oh, I just bought like some new cooking pots and pans and stuff, and I'm gonna start working on recipes because she loved to cook. Or she started going out and listening to live music in Paris there, dancing, interacting with friends. And you know what? In less than a year's time, she had no MS.
Wow.
That was it. And it never came back.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hear these stories all the time. But you know, this is obviously how it happens, right? One way or another, you receive wisdom and you have a knowing of what to do to take care of yourself, and you use that powerful message to make a transformation.
And what I love about the guides and why I teach people to do this like more conversationally and really ask all the questions, do you fully 100%, are you coming away from this conversation knowing what you need to do? I tell people, ask them for action steps. What do I do right now, today?
Right.
You know, in this moment. If you're telling me I need to de-stress before I have a stroke, if I knew how to do that, I wouldn't be asking you this question. So,
right. So tell me what to do.
For me, what would be the most effective thing to start reducing my stress? Most important, most effective. And they tell you, and then you act on it. And then the stress starts to dissipate. Maybe there'll be other steps after that, but you have asked for an action step, something that is tangible that you can put into practice. Even if it's changing your perception or your perspective on something, and you're trying to figure out, I don't know, you know, that doesn't set right with me. How am I going to change my perception after I've been thinking about it this way for the last 35 years?
Right.
Give me a way to, how can I best do that? And then they'll give you something, and then do it. Act on the guidance, and you'll see, you know, because you're remember, your guides are you. They're your soul. It's God.
Yeah.
There's nowhere better to go. There's no higher information or wisdom you can get.
Beautiful.
That's it. And just get what you need from them to make this life a better experience for you. You can heal, you know, all these physical things that we have that go wrong with our bodies. I mean, sure, someone can give you poison, it can become toxic and you can die. But what about all those people that live in towns where the water's polluted? Does every single person die? Nope. No. So there's some reason that some of those people are not being affected.
Right.
Their immune systems might be really stronger, higher, whatever. Our bodies are affected the most by what's going on up here.
Yeah.
Our minds and our emotional systems in our heart. And They're
That's also
created.
scientifically proven. That's not
Yeah,
just,
they're created by the disease, or we can say the symptoms of disease are created by that. So if it was created by that, why wouldn't you be able to reverse it?
right.
I mean, there's a hospital up in, I think it's Washington, not Washington, D.C., the other Washington,
Yeah.
that works with kids who have cancer, and they give them a therapist to work with, and the therapist just works with them on imagining their
Themselves.
cancer shrinking down until it just goes away, and it does.
That's amazing. Yeah. We have a close friend right now that has stage 4 cancer. And I've been struggling with the way to tell her to do this. Because I didn't want to dismiss the experience she was having, right? And say, and be like, well, you can do this with your mind, but I think I've got some ideas on how to do it now.
Ask your guides.
What?
Ask your guides.
Yeah.
Ask her guides too.
Right. Yeah. Lovely. Okay. Well, this has been a transformative conversation for me. And
thank you for having me on, I guess I'll call it a show on this channel.
Yes.
Because I love to give out this information, and unfortunately there's so much and it's so vast, you really can't even cover it all in a conversation.
Right.
But I'll come back anytime if you want to talk about any other specific area or put people on a different type of journey, whatever.
Okay. I really appreciate it. It's so generous of you. And it's very evident that you are living your mission. And so
this isn't my only mission.
Good.
There's other missions to come. I'm writing TV shows right now, and I'm taking a lot of these experiences and changing them into stories. I actually worked in TV and film before this happened.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to start painting. I haven't painted in years, but I'm a fairly good painter, and I have other things planned I'm going to do. This isn't over yet. This isn't it.
So cool. Well, I can't honestly think of another thing that is more badass than that. So you are amazing, and I am so appreciative of your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And your tattoos on your head are amazing.
Thank you. I was
just thinking when you'd said earlier that your guides are like, yeah, do it all, do everything. And I'm like, anyone that can tattoo their head, you should be doing it all.
Yes. Yeah, probably.
Have an amazing life. Just do everything you want to do, like touch it all, taste it all. And at the same time, we don't have to do anything.
Right.
A lot of people, that I talk to are concerned about evolving spiritually. It's like, don't worry about it. I mean, if it's something you want to do, fine. But everyone is so connected to so many different things that are happening. And this isn't your only life. This isn't your only experience. And we didn't really get into this, but let me just touch on this for a few seconds before we go. There are alternate versions of all of us playing out at the same time.
Jenna says that.
You're sitting here talking to me, I'm sitting here talking to you, but there's other versions of Gil, there's other versions of Cate, there's a version of Gil that works at the UN, at the United Nations, there's a version of Gil that's a criminal, there's a version of Gil that's a drug addict, there's a version of Gil that is a pop singer. There's all these different versions of me and you and everyone playing out in these parallel realities, because everything is malleable. This isn't, angels can just think of a feather or a penny to make it appear for someone that's waiting for a signal. There's no barrier between the thought and the reality for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other conversation when I had a conversation with this angel. But and every time we make a decision to go right and don't choose to go left, that version will split off and create its own reality and its own entire ecosystem, so to speak. So by the time I get to cross over and all these versions of Gil cross over from this particular experience, forget about if I'm a dog or what, anything else, you've experienced almost everything, almost every possibility.
So that is enlightenment, right?
Everything's enlightenment.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
The other day, I was really grumpy, and my friend said to me, "Oh, grumpiness is just a state of mind." Boom, light bulb. I was enlightened, and I wasn't grumpy anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like enlightenment is just, it comes in stages, you know? And in this moment, I may be incredibly enlightened. In this moment, I'm a complete asshole that's being angry, you know, because this morning my dog pooped in my office.
Right.
Dog's got to go somewhere, you know. It's just
right.
Enlightenment comes in stages. It comes in, it comes out. We came here to have a human experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you'd be a turtle.
Right.
But you're not. You're Cate. Well, maybe you're a turtle too, but the version I'm talking to is Cate. So imagine that there is an infinite possibility of amount of infinite versions of Cate playing out in these parallel realities. So by the time they all return to your soul, you did all these things.
Right.
Maybe not everything that's possible in existence, but every time you didn't choose to do something, that version played out. So you did do it.
Right.
Maybe you did become a ballerina. Maybe you did become, a member in a rock band, or you ran away to, chase bears in Alaska, or whatever you were doing. The versions of you that were drug addicts and this and that. All of that experience. I mean, it's mind-boggling to even try to imagine the wealth of experience that you're experiencing through all these different versions of you that are coming back into your soul and into the God consciousness and expanding the multiverses and everything that just keeps growing and living and creating new. And
it's hard to not be interested and excited about getting to the past over, right? Like, because I want to be there, like where the soul, I want to see it all. I want to feel it all,
Well, I can take you on a journey one day where you can do that without like having to leave this lifetime.
Yeah.
Or actually we could because I don't want you to have to know your future. I could do it to you as you leaving this lifetime, but then you'll already know one of your possibilities of dying. It's up to you, but it's most easily accomplished by going into a past life and letting you cross over from that life into the other side, as we call it, and see what did it feel like, what's going on once you get to that side, what's happening.
Right.
Because each lifetime experience will be different when you cross over anyways. Depending on what your belief system is, how strongly you're attached to it, what you want to experience.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, we can do that. You can get a taste of it. It's pretty cool, actually.
Okay. And is that something we could do here too? Or is that difficult to do as a group?
Oh, you mean for the group?
Yeah. Is that something that's possible as a group? Just curious.
I would think so. I'd have to figure out how to do it so it's equally potent for each person. But yes.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we will. I'm sure this will not be the last time that we are speaking, Gil, but I really appreciate your time today. And thank you for hanging in there to our audience. And please let us know, how this went for you, and get in touch with Gil. Okay.
Thank you guys for being here. I know that everyone's life is really busy. It's hard to take time out for anything that's beyond 5 minutes these days. So thank you. And thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, even though I was super tired.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
awake now. I'm awake
Yeah,
now.
right. Yeah, you'll have energy for the rest of the day now. Whenever I leave this show, I have so much energy. Okay, well, thank you so much. It was just amazing, and have a badass Friday.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Take care.
You too.